Welcome to today's webinar, courtesy of the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Louisville. Discover no-cost, valuable business services to help you thrive, whether starting your entrepreneurial journey or scaling your existing business. We have the resources and expertise to help you succeed. For more information, please visit our website or text 502-977-5800. Thank you for joining us today. Feel free to use the chat feature to ask questions or engage with our speaker. Let's get started.
Hey, welcome everybody. I'm Dave Etkin and having trouble with my video as I do every week. So, my God.
Nothing new.
There we go. Thank you. So, yeah, welcome everybody. Today we're doing something a little bit different. Thank you so much for joining us. As everybody kind of joins in here, just to make sure that we don't have any other tech issues, you wouldn't mind kind of looking at the bottom of your screen there, and hopefully you'll see a toolbar. And if you don't, just kind of hover over the bottom, it should pop right up. And there you'll find the chat feature. And just click on that, and then just let us know where you are, what your name is, if you can hear and see us okay, and tell us where you're joining from. Again, this is always my favorite part of the day to see where everybody's kind of popping in from around. Oh, let's just say hello. Hey, Alex, how are you? I think I'm going to see you today, I think. Hi, Terry. I'm going to come out and visit you guys here soon. Hope you're doing well. So, hey, Rodriguez, Danielle, Carrollton, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Today I am joined with all my good friends and coworkers here at the SBDC, Janet Flaw. Hey, Janet.
Hi, trying to stay cool, tell you.
Yeah. And then Claire Bridges, one of our business coaches here. Hey, Claire.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be here today.
And Rhonda Jones, our other business coach here in Louisville. Hey, Rhonda.
Hello.
So just to give you an overview, what we're going to do today is three of us kind of go through some loan products, because what we're talking about is getting money today. And so we're going to kind of keep it kind of brief, kind of give you some quick information. And then what we're going to do is just open it up. And if you would keep your chat window open. If you have any questions or comments, just put them in the chat there, and we'll answer your questions. And this is a good way to get some specific answers to any questions you have, or advice or whatever. We're just going to throw it out. And it's not just us need to be talking. So if you have something to share that could help someone else on the chat, just put it in there. We're all in this together. We're all working together. We're all trying to drive the economy and make the community better. So don't be shy. Let's just do that. So that being said, I'm going to launch some slides, because we as consultants, we love slides. How are we looking? Everybody see that good?
Not quite yet. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
All right. So let's see. Claire, you're up, aren't you?
I am up. So to start off our chat about funding this morning, or this afternoon, we are going to talk about or go through all the items that you'll need to prepare before you apply for any type of funding from a banking institution, and likely even from investors as well. So we will go through these next steps here, all about preparing your business loan checklist.
Oh, man.
Is it frozen? There we go. Okay, so first up is the business plan. And if you have ever met with any of us here at the SBDC, you've probably talked about your business plan before. We either ask if you have one, if you've updated it in a while, if you know how to write one, or if you need tools and resources to do so. So the business plan is very important when applying for funding, because it's basically all the proof and planning and research that has gone into your business. And whether you're a new business that's just launching or an existing business, having a business plan is equally as important for both types of businesses. It's your operations, it's your marketing tool, it's all of those pieces put into one document. And then also, if you are an existing business, you'll also want to include an organization chart in your business plan as well, so that we can easily understand how the business is structured and how it operates daily. So business plan is the first piece, and then we will go on to the next slide. Next is the financials. So first, we're going to talk through if you are an existing business. If you've been in business for at least 3 years, you will need to supply 3 years of historic data, financial data, to the bank. This looks like historic profit and loss statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements, accounts receivable, so on. These are items I hope you have already as a business owner. If you've been up and running in business, you can get these from your accountant. If you aren't able to put these together or don't have them on hand already, we can also help put these together for you based on other financial data that you can provide us. But you will need to have these compiled. And you may imagine this might take a little bit to get all put together. So it's not as easy as I wrote my business plan, I'm ready to submit. These other documents are also equally as important. Also 3 years of business tax returns if you have been in business already. And then the next slide, I think, will show those of you what you need to provide when you're new. So if you're a brand new business and you have not been in business, you don't have any of those historic records to show or to give to the bank. That's where we at the SBDC come in to create pro forma financials. And so we put together what we think is going to happen. And we talk to you in detail about why you think your sales will be the way they are, why you think your average ticket cost is going to be $35 per person, how many people you think you're going to reach on average every day. So we put those into a story with numbers, and then we create those financial statements as if they're going to happen in the future. And this gives the bank or a lender a little bit more assurance as they're looking through your loan ask to say, okay, I think this is realistic. These numbers make sense. Everything, kind of lines up. Additionally, we'll want to include a sources and uses of funds. So all of the ways you're pulling money together to start the business or launch the project or what have you, and then where those dollars are being spent. So, we're getting pretty detailed in the uses of funds there, not just marketing 10,000, equipment 50,000, operational working capital 30,000. We need some more detail there as well. So we'll go through with you and say, under those categories, what are we exactly spending on here? And then all those lovely prodding questions that we ask you go into the critical assumptions that we put together to prove to the lender that this is why we say these numbers are going to be the way they are. And that's a really important piece of the business plan of your pro forma financials, because otherwise we are just making up numbers on a page. But let's get a little bit more detailed, put some critical assumptions together, and that way they're much more believable. And then let's look at a couple more documents. So there's some personal documents you'll have to prepare. And these are like personal financial statements. This is a kind of a banking document you can pull from your bank, or the lender can give you a template of their own version of that. Anyone with 20% or more equity in the company will need to provide a personal financial statement. And this gives just kind of like a more holistic view of your financial positioning to be able to take on a loan. You'll also need to provide 3 years of personal tax returns. So not only those business tax returns, but your personal tax returns as well, which can take some time to get together. Where did I file those, from 3 years ago, et cetera. So taking the time to prepare these documents ahead of time is very helpful to move your loan quickly through the process of being underwritten and approved. Additionally, with any personal tax returns, if there's other documents associated with your finances, like any liens or bankruptcies or credit issues, you'll want to be upfront with those and just give the basic information of what happened so that they can understand where you're at now and make a qualified decision from there. And then also you'll want to prepare a resume. So as again, anyone with 20% or more equity in the business should be providing a resume. And then lastly, we have just some administrative documents that you'll want to make sure you have on hand: your articles of incorporation or organization. Operating agreement is always required. I just talked to a lender yesterday, said no one ever includes their operating agreement. So that's something to have on hand. Purchase agreements or leases if your business involves a brick and mortar. Just some other kind of paperwork to make sure you have organized and on hand. And then commitment letters, whether you're seeking funding from many sources or multiple banks, and then anyone you already have commitment to be doing business with, either vending or customers, so on. That kind of just is another way to support your business, support your idea, and prove that you have business coming in the door, as soon as you can get up and running with this loan. So a lot of our work here at SBDC is to work through this checklist and get you prepared so that when you go to the lender, you can just say, here it is. Here's everything I have. I'm ready to go, right? So check it out, reach out if you have questions on any of this, or, oh, maybe I had this experience at a bank and it went like this, with some of these documents. Let us know. We're happy to help find them or help create them to give to a lender.
Rhonda, you want to talk a little bit about some SBA products?
Yes. Good afternoon again. Okay, so the SBA has great loan programs. These programs are designed to support small businesses through guaranteed financing provided by the SBA. Approved of lenders, by the SBA approved of lenders. One of the key benefits for these lenders is their preferred lender program, which grants it gives them the authority to process and service without prior SBA approval. So it speeds up the process. And all these loans we have to have a Form 1919. So they provide support for the small businesses. You got these lenders who are certified and qualified to work on these loans with the client without the SBA's approval, depending on which type of loan you are applying for. And so the credit decision can be either by the SBA or by delegated lenders, and interest rates are pretty much negotiable. So, so the next thing I'd like to talk about is the SBA 7A Loan Program. This is a real popular program because it has 3 different type of S7A programs depending on your particular situation. So the differences are, whatever the amount you need. You might have either standard 7A, which is, $350 to $1 million, maybe you just need a smaller one up to $350. But depending on the size of the loan, it affects your guarantee, the SBA guarantee. So if you just get a standard one, it's 75%. If you get a smaller one up to $350, they will guarantee up to 85%. And then the most popular one is the SBA. It's up to $500,000. That's typically the average, the first time small business loan. But the only thing about it is it's faster to process, but the only guarantee up to 50%. And it's revolving credit. So, and lenders use their own forms. So, so this is one that, I see a lot, the SBA Express loan. And then the next loan program I'd like to talk about is export and working capital solutions. So this program guarantees revolving lines of credit or term credits to support small businesses concerns that wish to develop the export side of their business. So it offers many of the streamlined features of SBA Express loan while providing higher guarantees to mitigate international credit risk. So as you can see, also we have the the different types of export, and working capital programs. You got your express, of course, it's quicker, but it's only up to 7 years for revolving credit. And your working capital is even less, which is 36 months. And then you got your international trade and your working capital, which is typically for businesses who are really seasonal businesses or contract businesses or just need working capital. The maximum maturity is 10 years. And so the next thing we want to talk about is the 504, which this is another popular loan program that SBA offers. And this is basically for assets, like long-term assets. It's used for a range of assets that promote business growth and job creation. So these include the purchase of construction of existing buildings or land, or even new facilities. So the long-term machinery and equipment with the useful remaining life of a minimum of 10 years is typically what they look at. But you have to go through a certified development company, which is a bank that is certified through the SBA, that works with the SBA as a nonprofit organization, and it does promote growth, business growth, and job creations. And the maximum amount is a little bit over $5 million. And again, it's a CDA, or SBA certified nonprofit lenders. So what are the requirements? So of course you have the SBA works for only for-profit businesses, US-based, in the US, United States, a for-profit. You have to have a certain net worth, certain average income. You have to meet the SBA guidelines. And so you must have a qualified management team. So I always encourage my clients to attach a really good detailed resume, also a really good management section, and just kind of brag on yourself. Talk about your successes. Why do you have qualifications to successfully run a business? Any degrees, certifications, experiences that you have, you want to include those. And then Claire was talking about a business plan earlier. You want a feasible business plan with well-researched, structured document. And you have the demographics, and you have all the realistic marketing opportunities defined. So you want a feasible business plan to show that your plan or your business makes sense. And they also consider your character, your repayable, how can you repay the loan? And of course, you're ineligible if you're a nonprofit, okay, or just speculating. You have to have a business that's going to be occupied, not hoping it will be occupied. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Okay, so eligible uses. Purchase of construction, buildings, land, or facilities, long-term equipment that's, greater than or equal to a 10-year lifespan. And then if you have some land that you want to make it useful, or utilities or existing facilities that you want to maybe upgrade, this is a good type of loan to apply for. Any type of refinance or consolidated eligible debt would be fine too. So let's see. And then lastly, the ineligible uses would be working capital. So you're just looking for working capital, or looking for money for inventory, or some type of speculative real estate, will not qualify for the 504. Any type of AI related soft costs, example, consulting or anything of that nature. But remember, this will have to go through a local certified development company. Okay, Dave.
All right. Thanks, Rhonda. So I'm going to jump in and talk about some institutions you've probably heard of, but you maybe you don't know exactly what they are. But so I'm going to talk about some community development finance institutions, and we just call them CDFIs for short. And what are they? They're different than banks in that they have some different things that they do. But they are mission driven as opposed to profit driven. So they will want to focus on a certain demographic, a certain target market, might be a geographic area, and that's where they want to do business so they can do good things there. They're not just looking for business. What makes them different is that if you are in these areas with this target market, they have a lot of flexible lending things, lending products, and other services you can take advantage of. So let's just kind of pop in through a few of them. There's a bunch of them in Louisville. There's a ton in the state across, and also in the country. But here's just a handful here in Louisville, Jefferson County that we work with a lot. I'm not going to point out everybody, so I'll probably get some emails and stuff like, why didn't you say anything about me? But whatever. But Park Community Federal Credit Union is a CDFI also, and it's the largest one in the state, I believe, or at least in the area. And they are a great institution. We work a ton with them. They have just the general normal business loans and things like that. But they do have some things that are unusual and that are very helpful for you as an entrepreneur. So often, especially when you're getting started, you may need just a small amount. They have some loans. They have a loan program basically that's a low documentation. It's pretty quick turnaround. Basically a signature loan for $10,000. And most times that's might be all you need to get started. The cool thing about this particular loan is that if you pay it off on time in a timely manner and make all your payments, when you've made that last payment, they will refund you back all the interest you paid on the loan. So it's basically free money the first time around. What could be better than that? So if you'd like an introduction to Park or something, we'd be happy to do that. But great place to start when you're really getting going. This is a new organization that we're engaged with, but they're kind of targeted. They're called LISC here in Louisville. They basically are focused on the West End underserved communities. They're really focused in on real estate and construction. So they've got a great program for new developers. Like if you are interested in doing development projects in the West End or South End, they have a great program to help you in there and get started. They have some loan programs just to help with this as well. They also have a business component, and it's primarily for buying mid-market companies, a little bit bigger companies, as long as they're kind of located in some target areas and are focused in on that community. So it's a good organization. Community Ventures is another big organization statewide. It is a CDFI. It is an SBA lender. So it has a ton of loan products. They have a great microloan program that goes up to $50,000. It's like a step up from like Park's $10,000 loan program. But often, when you're getting started, this startup funding is basically all you need. These are kind of the products that you can have a better chance to getting than if you went to a traditional bank. These loans can be used for a ton of different uses. So Community Ventures is a great organization as well. They do offer some training. They have some other opportunities for training and resources and some mentorship opportunities. So good organization. Another organization we work with a lot, and we have great friends there, is El Home. They're a newer CDFI. They have a lot of credit builder things. They do stuff not only just with businesses, but with individuals as well. They have credit builder loans. They have, credit repair services. They have a coaching component. So we use, we work with El Home a lot. They they're very flexible. They're very caring. They're a great group to work with. I want to talk a little bit about Metco. Now, Metco is a program that the city has, Louisville Metro has operated for a long time. And here in the last year or so, it's been kind of on pause as they kind of retool things. But we were just told the other day that they're getting ready to relaunch. So I just thought I'd bring it up, get it on everybody's radar. I'm not sure what the retooling will look like, but basically these were the two things that they really focused on. This working capital loans for businesses. That was a big one. Another one is similar to working capital, but we just called it gap financing. Like if you were, were approved on some sort of loan from a bank and you had some cash, but those two things didn't add up together to equal how much you need. Metco could come in and fill that gap for you, which was very, very helpful. And that is it. So we just kind of gave you guys a quick overview of a couple things, some SBA loans, some CDFIs, and how to get prepped up, whether you're going to go to a traditional bank or whatever. So that being said, what kind of questions do you have or comments? Or I think we could just get the conversation going on, well, some funding issues or things like that, or things that you have questions on. So,
Dave, I have a question.
yeah, Claire.
What's your thought process around kind of these different options that we presented and how a business owner might decide what the best fit for them is, depending on,
Yeah.
a CDFI or a bank or what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a little process that I use in my mind is like, I want to start with what do I need, on your sources and uses table, Claire. So I want to go through and figure out everything I need, how much does it cost, and include in that working capital, how much money do I want to have in my checking account on my first day so I can get going. So once I know what that number is, then I look through and see when do I need it, So it's pretty rare that on day one, you need all that money at once to get going. Often is like it's in stages, like I'll need a chunk to do these things and then I'm good for a bit and then another chunk. So if I can put together a timeline, then I can line up sources, to do the funding within that timeline. So in the beginning, maybe I would just go to Park and do the $10,000 to get ramped up on a few things. Then maybe I go to Community Ventures and add another 50, and then maybe circle back to an SBA loan and get 300,000 or something. So just kind of that's the kind of the process. We can layer in different funding products on top of each other that way.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Sandra says I'm ready. Who should I talk to to get started on
Sandra,
the
I'll
50?
put a link in our in the chat.
Yeah. So if you just go to that link, you'll be able to see all of our calendars. You can just see who's available and get on a calendar. We'll do a Zoom call with you and kind of get started. 504 loans are a little tricky, a little hard, but takes a minute. Alex says, do different lenders each require their own specific set of documents, or these other standard document list of all lenders really kind of, ask for? And is it just best to have all these documents ready in case they're needed? Yeah, there's a pretty standard list. They may ask for a few little things that are different, but you can bet they're going to want, tax returns, personal financial statement, a business plan with some financial projections and stuff. So it's best to have all that ready. I like to, when I get the business plan done with the financials, I always recommend that you attach those things to the business plan when you take it to the bank, like the things that you know they're going to ask for, the tax returns, your personal financial statement, things like that. So, Rhonda, what do you think?
I think that typically they ask for basically the same documents.
Mhm.
But I have a question, Dave. I see a lot of business plans today, but a lot of the business plans I'm receiving seem like they're allowing AI to write those business plans for them. And so, what is your recommendation, and what are the advantages of writing your own business plan? I think it's okay to write it and then have maybe AI to maybe, give you some feedback on it. But what
Mhm.
are the advantages of writing a really great business plan in order to be truly successful and know what you're doing in your business?
Yeah. Well, this was pre-AS, but I'll tell this story anyway. But when I first started kind of doing this, I was asked to write a business plan for a guy. I had a pretty good idea, and I was really excited about it. So we met on a Friday, and I said, "Yeah, I'll just I got all everything I knew. I think I'll write you a business plan, and we'll get together on Tuesday." So I spent all weekend putting this thing together, which I was super proud of. And on Tuesday we met, went over it, I showed it to him, and he said, "Man, this is fantastic." So he was happy. I was very proud, and he left. And then maybe about a week and a half later, so he called me up. He goes, "Hey, I got an appointment with the banker. Would you mind coming with me?" And I thought, "You know I will." So I was there, and we're sitting in that little office they have, and the loan officer is reading it. He's looking at it, and when he's reading, he's looking at the back of the numbers and stuff, and he's shaking his head up and down. I'm thinking, oh, he loves this. We got this thing. And he's running his fingers down some of my tables, and he stops and he looked at my client there, and he goes, "Oh, hey, I'm just wondering, why did you increase the depreciation charge off year over year over the last 2 years?" And my client looked at me and said, "I don't know. Dave said to put that number there." And so the banker knew that he didn't write that business plan, and he didn't know what he was talking about. And it wasn't my business. I wasn't borrowing the money. So did we get that loan? We did not. So that's the whole danger about having an AI write this stuff. It's not a test. It's not like, you know, you're a pass to get through just because you have this thing and you're checking a box. This is actually a way to really think through your business. And there's a ton of documented evidence and studies that show that the people that take time and really think through what they're going to do and write it on paper and not just have it in their head, they are far more likely to succeed than somebody who's just going on the fly, just doing things, it's just stark the difference that those things are. So that's not to say that you can't use AI to help you like do research or pull up supporting documents or do research on other similar businesses so you can get some ideas for it. That's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to the actual creative process, you just have to do the work sometimes. That's a good
Claire, you
question.
talk. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. I was gonna say Claire was talking about telling a story with the financials. Claire,
Hmm.
when you work with your clients, do they? I'm sure you make sure that the story that the financials are telling are in alignment with that business plan. They're not saying two different things, right?
Exactly.
How important it is when you go to a lender.
Oh,
So,
incredibly important. If those two things don't line up right off the bat, if I were a lender, I would not look at that business plan twice if they didn't line up with each other. A lot of the operational section of the business plan, products and services, and the marketing section are all um, tools for me to then create those critical assumptions. So I'm reading through those narratives that the business owner has written to then say, okay, well, tell me a little bit more about the cost of this product or why you're pricing it in this way. Um, and then that kind of informs all the numbers that I put together for the financials. So Those two things really have to match. And if they don't, it's kind of a big red flag and pretty glaring.
You had mentioned critical assumptions quite a bit. So when you say critical assumptions and they're proof of what the numbers are, so you're actually breaking down each profit centers, how many services or how many products?
Mhm.
Is that what you to actually show how
Yeah.
you get that number?
Exactly. Yeah. So we list out, all the different profit centers that you're planning on having, and then what does it cost you to sell those things? What does
Hmm.
the labor look like in your business model?
Hmm.
What are your operational expenses, and how solid are those as you're, just preparing when you haven't actually been up and running? Um, and then, does this line up with the industry at large that you're in, right? So if you're in the food
Hmm.
and beverage industry, what is your food cost? What's your labor cost? Is that typical for that business, or is that kind of way out in left field? Those are some numbers we're kind of looking at to make sure everything seems in line. So we use those critical assumptions to then base those numbers off of.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's kind of very important. And the vendors tend to believe what the numbers say when you have those critical assumptions items, like you said. Okay, great.
Yeah, I think,
Sometimes we have to be the Debbie Downers. We have to kind of really press and ask questions. You really think you're going to sell that much on day one? Or what
mhm.
about when
Hmm.
it's cold in February? You think you're going to sell that much then? So those are the kind of details we get into.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So I think I'm gonna ask a question out there in video land that everybody, has anybody out there applied for a loan for their business for either a startup or an existing business and got turned down for any reason? Anybody have that happen? I think that it can happen quite a bit.
Hmm. And I
But
also will
but it,
say,
mhm.
oh, go ahead, Rhonda.
I'm going to clarify.
Oh, I was just going to say you may get turned down at one institution, and you may get approved with the same exact application at another institution.
Hmm.
And so it's worth, continuing to try and put yourself out there and connect with other lending options. And we're happy to connect you with folks as well in those spaces.
Yeah,
I was
it's like
I would have the
when I was
same
trying.
thought. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Dave.
yeah. It's kind of you know, trying to get used to rejection. It's like when I was getting a date for the
Mhm.
prom, it was 10 no's to get a yes. So it's just, hey.
Yeah, but it brought to my mind one of my clients who went to a certain institution, vended institution, and she was turned down. And we pivoted and went to another institution, and she was approved, and she is doing extremely well. So we didn't give up. We just went back to the drawing board and just kind of, okay, how come how come they didn't improve this? What happened? What can we do better? And she's doing fantastic. And so if we had just like, oh, forget it, I'm giving up. We're giving up. Then she wouldn't be
Mhm.
doing as well. So just because you get a no doesn't mean maybe it's just no for that particular vendor or no for right now, but doesn't mean no forever. So don't give
Yeah.
up. Just improve. Hmm.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's also an opportunity, I think, to maybe pivot and look at your business and see, is there something you can scale back so the amount you need isn't so big? So I
Yes.
do think that maybe you guys should have the same experience that I have, but often people get paralyzed because they think they can't do anything until they have everything.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's rarely the case. I think most people are resilient and smart enough to, I mean, you can make some money with what you have now if you just, figure it out. So,
It's
uh,
And
also
that's
a
what we
safer
did,
way to
Dave. Yeah,
start.
let's go back. Go ahead, Claire.
Oh, it's also a safer way to start.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And that's exactly what we did. We did, scale back a little bit,
yeah.
and just revamped, and she's doing great. So just want to
Mhm.
encourage you. If you do get turned down, no worries. Just continue to work on things.
Yeah, the other thing that no one ever talks about is, I've been thinking about it a lot, is, you can use, if you really think about it, you can use your customers as your bank. So if you can figure out a way to get prepayments before you do anything, um, that's a great way um, to start a business.
Yeah.
What about a soft opening, Dave? How would that work? Um, Getting
Soft opening,
started. Hmm.
yeah.
How,
Uh, yeah, so like, if you're selling products, let's say, um, I don't know. Uh, I don't know. That's kind of the whole idea of, getting people to commit before you have anything to commit with.
mhm.
So I don't
Right.
know. But that's a whole philosophy on that. So far, only out of all the people, only Amanata says yes. So, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna try to call you yesterday, and I'll try to get back to you today.
So what are the
Um,
advantages, Dave, of going through the Small Business Development Center opposed to just going out there by yourself, trying to get funded, talking to lenders? What's the advantage of coming uh, to us?
the advantage, I don't know, is primarily that um, you're not just trying to figure it out. Um, I think that when you are going to a bank or anywhere, even with investors, and you're trying to get money, get funding somehow, a lot of it is the technical aspects of what you're supposed to do and have, but a lot of it is like almost like your personal vibe in a way. Like, would a banker or investor feel like that you know what you're doing and you're prepared? And so, when you walk in and you say, I'm here to apply for a loan, I've got this project, and you have every or most every question's answered before the banker even asked it, then, they're in their mind subconsciously even, they know you're a good bet. And, they're betting their money on your success. So, investors and bankers, a lot of times it's more about the person than it is the project. So, what do you think, Rhonda?
I think some advantages are that I think we do a really great job. Especially on the financials and giving really great feedback on the business plans. And I think two heads are better than one. I think our team is very encouraging. And we also are familiar with different lenders that will most likely like your particular type of business or your industry. And
Mhm.
then they see the great work that you've done and that you have mentors and coaches and you are seeking help. I think lenders feel a little bit more confident, in working with you.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. So
So Terry asks, is it in the scope of
Mm.
this conversation? And the answer to that is yes. To do a brief overview of the types of investors like private equity, venture capital, or family office. So I'll start on that one because I just started working on one just like this. But um, so investors are tricky because they're not like a bank. Like when a bank lends you money, all you got to do is pay and they will never ask you another question. They don't care what happens as long as they get paid. That's not the case with an investor. You're bringing on a partner, you're selling them part of your business.
Mhm.
So it's very important because investors have a say in how the business is operated and they have a say in the future of the business. And if their vision of future doesn't match yours, there's going to be problems at some point or another. So, you know, as when we, as small business owners, launch businesses, you know, we've all heard this, like, well, I want to build something for the family and for the kids. And, you know, and that just saying that means you have a long-term vision. So an investor, when he buys into your business, he gets paid two ways. He gets paid if, when, and if the business pays the owners a dividend, and when the business is sold. So if an investor is not a patient investor and there's no dividends, I mean, at some point, he's going to want his money back and want some sort of return, or in his mind, this is a poor investment because I'm just giving somebody money and then I never get anything back out of it. So those are the things you have to balance that. There are a few, and I will say a very few, these people that have been successful and they want to, you know, kind of maintain small business ownership in the community. So they are patient investors, and so they would, you know, come in and hopefully gets a dividend stream for a period of time, and on the owner either to, you know, finance them out of the business in some way, shape, or form, or something like that, as opposed to forcing the sale or liquidation of the company. So, but like the private equity and venture capital, I mean, they have a strict timeline of 3 to 7 years, and the business has to be sold because that they have to reallocate their asset portfolio. So, yeah. You guys worked with anything like that? Claire, Rhonda?
It's always an initial question. What about
Mhm.
investors? What about angel investors?
Mm.
I have one client right now I'm working with that will be funded by investors. Just met with him this morning, actually.
Mhm.
So it's not common, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. And investors could be, you know, your Uncle Jim, or, you know, or something like that, which is a different flavor.
Mhm.
I'll just say this: if you get investment money from your family, or if you give it even, you know, chances, I mean, something's going to go wrong and somebody's going to be mad. It's the best way to run Christmas on the planet. So,
I totally agree.
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, that's my rule. If I lend somebody money in my family, it's gone. I'll never see it again.
Don't lend it. Just give it to them. Just,
Yeah, just have
That's
that
what I do.
expectation.
I tell them you have to pay me back, but they never do.
Yeah.
Whatever.
yeah, that's family for you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, investors are partners, you know, so just like
Mhm.
marriage, easy to get into, it's hard to get out of if things go wrong. So,
Exactly.
yeah, that was a good question, Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good question.
Yeah. Terry and her husband, Carl, have a medical practice. I guess I can say these things, but it's fantastic. I think I was their first first patient way back in the day when I first started with them, and it's been fantastic. They're great people.
Well,
Fantastic.
Terry says, "We love you, Dave."
Yeah, there's mid.
That's one of the best things about being a business coach. You meet so many fantastic people, and you get to
Yeah.
see so many success stories, and you know, you go on so many journeys. So it's really very rewarding. It's not easy work, but it's rewarding. But you know, you enjoy it, so it's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, that was a good question. So, I don't see anything else. Rhonda, you got anything you want to add? We'll kind of wrap up since we're here at the top of the hour.
Um, I just want to let the audience know that we also assist you with industry information, which would particularly cost you hundreds of dollars, and we will provide that for you for your particular industry and demographics and no charge. So you know, if you're starting a business or expanding your business and you want some really great industry information, please reach out to us and we'd be happy to assist you.
Mhm. Yeah. That's so true. You know, I always say this, but you know, Louisville is a great place to start or own a business because there's so many great organizations that provide free resources and help for business owners. So, you know, we know everybody in town, so we can, you know, take advantage of everything. You know, why not? That's what it's there for. So somebody wants to call you, Rhonda. Sandra says,
So someone wants to call you on that. Oh,
yeah.
okay. So Claire put the link in the chat.
Yeah, I put
In
our
the,
Feathery link. Let me also put our coach page, and that'll have some contact info
Mm-hmm.
for the three of us.
yeah, you can just click on that link and you'll see our schedules and our contact information.
Yeah.
That Feathery. Try if you can't, Sandra, if you can't set up through the Feathery link that I sent earlier, just do an email via this most recent link, and you'll be able to email Rhonda and get on her calendar.
Yeah. Yep. Claire, any last words here? Words of advice?
I think this is a great discussion, and if you're not yet ready for this piece of opening a business, you know, if you're not even thinking about, oh, how am I going to get the money, but you're 10 steps, you know, back, we can help you there too. We can, you know, give you lots of resources and tools around building a business plan or doing the research it takes to vet your idea, those kind of tangible tools to help. So don't be intimidated if this seems all a huge undertaking, because we can kind of just walk you through step by step.
Yeah. You know, something else too is we've been talking about basically businesses, you know, starting a business and a business plan, but you know that we do tons of work with existing businesses. Is you know, maybe and often it doesn't have anything to do with getting a loan. You know, maybe just operational issues or have some issues you want to discuss with somebody. You know, we're happy to do that. And again, we have a lot of contacts, and you know, it's tough to go through all that stuff all alone.
Yeah.
Often.
Yeah, two heads are better than one. And so,
Yeah.
and you can reach out to all three of us if you know, talk to
Right.
me. You might want to talk to Claire about something, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we
So
won't get mad if you
we're
talk to
changing.
Claire at
We
all.
don't
No,
get mad.
we're happy.
Sometimes
Happy to
people,
share.
my clients talk to Claire. Sometimes Claire's clients talk to me and Dave.
Yep.
But you get one of us, you get all of us. So no worries.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. This has been very fun and very interesting, and we had some good questions and things to talk about. So reach out to us. We're always looking to see you guys and see what you guys are up to. So hope to see you next time. And I think we'll have, if you just hang on just a second, we click off here, you'll get a little survey, give us a little review so we can always try to improve these things, come up with different ideas just to help you guys, help the community, help you build wealth and success. That's our goal. So
That's our goal. That's our mission.
yeah. Janet, thanks for driving the ship for us as always.
We'll see everybody next time.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks,
See you
Janet.
next
Thank you
week.
all.